We'll probably get done for being ageist for that. But you can't be. It's a bit like, exactly. It's a bit like black people can use the N-word.
Yeah.
We could take the piss out of old people because you're here.
That's
all good. Smiling at someone is not an attempt at a sexual advance. It's just being nice.
Yeah. Oh, yes. You should add it was a woman, by the way.
Yeah. I assumed that.
Yes.
Just with the seedy look in your eyes as you were telling the story. Who gets to decide what's rude and what's not?
Well, and this is the thing.
Who gets to make these rules?
Well, the Who is the thing, because this is where I've been leaning
The
into.
Who? What,
yes.
Roger Daltrey?
Yes, he's a wanker.
I had no idea it was their responsibility. Somebody just went, like, look at this prick wearing a hat and a coat indoors trying to look cool. I was like, what? I mean, if you're going to try and have a dig at me, surely wearing a hat and a coat indoors is not the worst thing you've seen on the internet, is it, mate? Come on. Hello, and welcome to the Mildly Controversial podcast. My name's Mike, and this is Baz. Say hello, Baz.
Hello, Baz.
We haven't done that for ages because it's on the bit. Do you know what? It's on the bit on the audio, and most people listen on the audio, but I think maybe people watching on Facebook and YouTube are missing out on that little bit. So we did it again.
Yeah, well, they've done it for ages, so.
Exactly. Anyway, Baz, how are you, mate?
I'm all right, and you?
Very, very good. What have you been up to?
I worked last weekend. Is it last weekend? Yeah, weekend just gone. That's what.
Do you know what? People fucking hate you.
Yeah,
that sentence makes people hate you. I worked last weekend. Yes. There's people screaming into their headphones now, going, "I work fucking 6 days a week."
Look, I realise my working kind of periods are a bit weird and also quite nice. So I was. I got a job working on the Remembrance Sunday parade, as it is. But I was working in Horse Guards Parade, which is on the other side of Whitehall and the Cenotaph. And it's the first time I've ever worked there, and it's the first time I've ever actually been to see it. And it's amazing because basically what we were doing was creating the they call it the Fall In, I think it is. The Fall In area, which is like the big muster area of all the veterans.
They all gather to begin the parade sort of thing.
So basically, we created an area for 11,000 veterans.
Bloody
it's
hell.
Mad.
I had no idea.
Me either.
Because funnily enough, the TV coverage of stuff to do with the British Army isn't massive over here.
No. You can see why, couldn't you?
It's it's still, after 800 years, still quite a sore point over here. So
another 200 years, I'll have it sorted. Don't worry.
But yeah, I did. I've not seen any of it, so I had no idea it was that big.
We just sort of set up the area they're going in, so we put tea and coffee areas and food and toilets and stuff like that. But one of the things we also do is we have to hand out these kind of markers for each of the groups.
Mm-hmm.
And then so they all have to hold them up so that when they come into the square they can all find where they're supposed to be.
Yeah,
and it's amazing because obviously the veterans vary between people that were the last few people that served in the Second World War, but then going all the way through like other conflicts and stuff like that. And do you know what? Like everybody who's involved with it, they're amazing people. That it seems like the one day where they all get together and they all just. It seems like a massive laugh, even though obviously it's quite a sort of sad remembrance thing. Everybody who's involved with it are just really nice. So, we go around afterwards as they're going up to Whitehall, picking up all these flags which they have to drop on the floor, and they're all just sort of like they're all just thank you very much, and and they're sort of like helping you collect stuff and like that. But it's something I didn't realize. I didn't realize that's what it was. But there was one thing that pissed me off. So I'll start off with that.
I like this. This sounds good. You've done the respectful bit. Now something pissed you off. Let's talk.
Well, it's largely organised by the Royal British Legion, and as part of what they do is they put out these signs with modern QR codes on them. So if you want to click on them, and then you can donate money to the RBL, and they're quite big signs, but obviously there's a certain area that the public can get only as near to the Horse Guards Parade as possible. And it was our job to put these signs out. And all right, they are big signs, and they have to be. But so you put them out, and like there was this one really annoying woman who was like, "Oh, do you have to put that there?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, it's my job, yeah, but we can't see anything." And like, bear in mind that she's there early, and she's already got things. She could have moved either side of it; it wouldn't have been an issue. And she was like, "Well, I need you to sort of either move it or lie it down." I was like, "Well, look, it's got the RBL thing on here. This is, for them to get a bit of like money out of you guys if you want to donate." And she was like, "I can't see." And I was like, "Well, you can move to one side. I've already got my spot." So, plus, there's two coppers stood right next to me, and I was kind of looking at them and looking at her and going, "Oh, what do I do?" So I moved it like, I don't know, 2 inches. And then she was like, "That's not enough." So I was on that verge of like moving away. And then she sort of addressed the coppers and said, "Look, can you make him move it? Because I've been here like for a good half an hour already." So I was like, "Well, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn it sideways." So I turned it sideways, but literally turned it sideways and put it right in front of her as well.
How was she expecting the police to intervene in this situation? You doing your job, putting something up to raise money for the Royal British Legion. And she was like, "You know what you should have done, Baz? You should have cut 2 little eye holes in it and got to lean right up against it. There you go. You can fucking see now, can't you, Karen?"
But it was just one of those really weird things. It was like, you're here to sort of like, for this respectful day, and the RBL are the people that organise all of it. And a part of that, they'd like to get a couple of donations, and it was like I was sort of mumbling under my breath as I walked away, "You fucking miserable bastard."
Unbelievable, isn't it? Those boys didn't lay down their lives for a woman to act like Hitler.
But yeah, that was the only blight on the day. Everything else was perfect.
Yeah, do you know what? That's the best bit. I didn't watch any of it, but I know for a fact the best bit was the Chelsea pensioners, because they're the best bit of all of it.
Yes. Although there was I didn't find out who they were, but there was a small I don't know what you'd call them, regiment of women there who still dress up in their traditional kind of almost World War II uniforms. And then the weird thing, as soon as they walked up and got together as a crowd, this tune came into my head and I couldn't get out, and it was and every time I saw them throughout the day, this tune just popped into my head.
Oh, Baz, that must have taken you right back to your school days.
Yeah, well, I was obviously I was a full-grown adult when that came out. What have you been up to?
Right, well, I've also been pissed off by someone this week, Baz, but it's not somebody that I thankfully actually came into contact with. It's something that has boiled my piss for a while, this. And there's another example of it this week. Is, there's loads of news stories online based on someone's put a post on Twitter. It's got a load of views and shit. So they make a news story out of it, right? This one got as far as it was the Sun online, Mail online, but also BBC Radio 4 interviewed the people. So this is like, for those that don't know, BBC Radio 4 is the biggest public radio station for news, basically.
Yeah.
And they carried this story, right? See, normally with these stories, there's a headline, and they kind of, the old clickbait, there's a headline, and you don't get down to the meat of what's actually happened until you're about a third of the way down.
Yeah.
Mate, halfway through this first sentence, I'm like, fucking idiots, right? Ryanair charges elderly couple £110. I'm like, oh no, elderly couple? So after they download the wrong boarding cards. Fucking idiots deserve to be charged £110. Already it's like, whose fault did you think this was? Ruth Jaff, 79, and her disabled husband, because him being disabled is important.
Doubles down on it, doesn't it?
Oh, for the crocodile tears we're supposed to cry on this one. Had checked in for the return flight instead of the outgoing flight. Okay, so literally those first 2 lines, I know that I'm not going to have any sympathy for these two at all throughout this entire story. But there is more detail. The elderly couple said they were horrified, in quotes, to be charged £110 by Ryanair for new boarding passes after they mistakenly checked into the wrong flight. Their fault. They accidentally downloaded the return boarding passes instead of the outgoing ones. And it said, so speaking to BBC Radio 4's Today programme, which is the biggest programme on the biggest news of the national broadcaster, she said the mistake became apparent when they arrived at the airport. I was then told I had to go to the Ryanair desk to get a boarding card. And there they charged me £55 per person. I was horrified. She added that her husband had struggled to walk across the airport and she was left flustered and upset by the ordeal, which was her fault.
Yes.
Fucking idiot. The couple had no choice but to pay, but the incident prompted their daughter to tell social media users what happened. Of course it did.
Yeah.
So her daughter goes off on one on Twitter. She posted on X, formerly Twitter. They might as well just call it that because that's how it's referred to in any media, saying her mother had made, quotes, an honest mistake. She added, £110 for 2 pieces of paper, which took 1 minute. Shame on you, Ryanair. Right. The £110 isn't for that.
Yeah.
Right. The £110 is because if they didn't charge £110, everyone would do it. Ryanair would have to employ more staff, and your really cheap flight wouldn't be really cheap anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody else who's downloaded their boarding pass has got a cheap flight and doesn't have to pay this. She said her parents had paid an extra fee so they could sit together. So when you're booking, look, if you're not familiar with Ryanair and cheap airlines, if you want to guarantee you're going to sit next to somebody, you have to pay extra. Okay. Yeah. I've had the same situation. I fly Ryanair quite a lot because they fly from my local airport to the airport closest to where I'm from. And I don't pay that because I can't be asked.
Yeah,
and
it doesn't matter to you, does it?
No, and they don't sit me next to my 13-year-old son because I don't pay the extra. And that's a conscious decision that I've made that I'm not. It's a half-hour flight. I'm not bothered.
Yeah.
So she said my mum made a mistake while trying to check in. So on her tweet, she's admitted her mum made the mistake. And this is directed at Ryanair. She said, you told her she wouldn't sit next to her disabled husband if she didn't pay the extra. So she tried. She didn't try. She did pay the extra.
Yeah.
But she checked in for the wrong flight. Therefore, they've given somebody else her seats and can't guarantee she's going to be sat next to each other anymore. Because they don't know if she's coming or not because she hasn't checked in more than 2 hours in advance, which is what they tell you to do.
Yeah.
This is the line I love. And this just sums up all of these things that think they're a victim when they've done it, brought it on themselves.
Yeah.
It then checked her in for the return flight only. It then checked her in, is the way she's put it. It then checked. Now, she's either referring to her mother by the pronoun it, which isn't very respectful.
Rude.
Or she's assuming that the computer just thought, I'm going to make these old people have a nightmare and have to pay extra. They sat separately, despite even after paying the £110. Yeah, because the seats had been given to somebody else that checked in on time. So it's just this whole thing. It happens all the time where you get people who, through their own stupidity, and don't get me wrong, there's going to be loads of people listening who will be like, "Well, hold on a minute, no, it's complicated for older people." I totally get that.
Yeah.
Older people might not have a smartphone. They might not be able to download the boarding pass onto the. There's no excuse for the daughter who's gone on this massive crusade on social media moaning about it. If she didn't think her parents were capable of doing it, she could have checked her parents in and emailed them a boarding pass. Yeah. Or even if she'd done it ahead of time because they paid extra, so they paid to check in early, she could have checked them both in, printed out the boarding pass and posted it.
Yes.
Gone proper old school. But no, it's Ryanair's fault because it checked them in for the wrong flights.
Yeah.
And then it even goes in it says, Martin James, a consumer rights expert, told the BBC that it was, quotes, deeply unfair to penalise people for an innocent mistake. He said that it was hard for people to resolve these sorts of issues with the airline. And you could consider taking them to the small claims court.
For what?
None of this guarantees compensation, and a lot of people don't have the time or energy. It's like, this is Martin. I don't know who Martin James is, but it says he's a consumer rights expert. If he's that much of a consumer rights expert, he should know You've got no fucking rights if you make the mistake.
Yeah.
If you make a mistake and you claim against some of that, 99.5% of people have no issues with doing exactly what they didn't do.
Well, you're going to lose, aren't you? So,
oh, mate, it just drives me mad when you just think of like all these people who just go, oh, it's so hard for these people. Well, it's not, is it? It's, you know, the vast majority of people manage to download and check in for the right flight.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of people manage to do it in time to not be charged at the airport. And that is why the flights are cheap.
How old is this couple again? What was their age?
Ruth was 79 and Peter is 80.
Cool. Right. So I'm assuming this isn't the first time they've ever flown in an aeroplane.
I can't imagine so, because they were going to see family in France. So I presume they've done it before.
But even then, they would have, you know, at some point in their 80-year history, they would have got on a plane and had to do exactly the same thing. And then, you know, and I'm assuming then up to this point, they've done it correctly each time.
Yep.
So they fucked up, right?
And absolutely. And the explanation and the warning gets emailed to you. I said, you haven't checked in yet. Yep. If you leave it till the airport, you're going to get fined £55. You're going to get charged, £55.
Yeah.
They might not have seen the email, but again, their fault.
Yeah.
None of this is any fault at all of the airline. And do you know what? I'm glad Ryanair charged people that £110 because that makes my flight cheaper and I do it right.
Yes. But also, if you turn around and say, look, they're old and he's disabled, we'll waiver it. Everybody's got a cause after that, haven't they? Oh, exactly. But, you know, I broke my finger 2 years ago.
That's it. I'm ginger. I'm a scouser. You know, other disabilities.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, fuck it.
No, so Ruth and Peter, we do have a little bit of sympathy for you. But your daughter who's bleating on social media, she could have helped you out and didn't and blamed the airline.
Yeah, now she's trying to get a bit of viral kind of fucking fame out of it.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you what she's not going to get out of it, 110 quid back. Yeah. Fuck her.
Good way to start the show, that.
Right then.
Just talking about old people.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll probably get done for being ageist for that, but you can't be. It's a bit like, you know, exactly. It's a bit like black people can use the N-word.
Yeah.
We could take the piss out of old people because you're here.
That's
so
it.
All good.
And you'll be joining me. You'll be joining the group soon,
mate. I found out that next year I qualify for some senior tournaments in the Donegal area by being 50. So I'm buzzing with that.
You're in the Masters realm now, aren't you?
Mate, I'm buzzing with that. I'm banking on the fact that I'm stronger and more flexible than a lot of people in that, because there'll be some boys who are like, you know, not even guaranteed to get through the 18. They're that old. So maybe that was one step too far, but maybe
you're all right.
Right then, Baz, what else do you want to get off your chest, pal?
Right. Done a bit of travelling on tubes and trains this coming week when I was at work for the weekend. I hasten to add, I caught somebody like looking at me on the train, like, you know, and so inevitably, because I've got an ego, I assumed it's because they might have recognised me, but they smiled at me, and so I, as you do, smiled back. To which they kind of then turned away and like tried to hide themselves for the rest of the journey, which I thought was odd. So I just want to proffer that it's okay to smile back at people, or even to smile at people. There's nothing wrong with it. I just felt like after that I felt like, oh, they didn't expect me to smile back, or if they did, they weren't smiling at me or something like that for a different reason. But yeah, it was this kind of weird thing where that person then proceeded to kind of like make sure they didn't catch my eye again for the rest of the journey, which I just thought was odd.
It is odd, Baz. As somebody who likes to perpetuate the stereotype that people in London are fucking miserable, I'm going to say that a big part of that is because you were in London.
Yes.
I'd say if you smiled at somebody in Manchester on public transport, unless you had your hands down the front of your trousers,
yes,
then it's probably okay.
Yeah.
But I think there's a good point, Baz, that I think it's a shame that there is a fear that things can be misconstrued all too often.
Yeah.
Smiling at someone is not an attempt at a sexual advance. It's just being nice.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Should add it was a woman, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I assumed that.
Yes.
Just with the seedy look in your eyes as you were telling the story.
Yes.
Well, if you want to see that, ladies and gentlemen, I know the vast majority of people who consume this podcast do it on the audio version. If you want to see Baz's seedy face, then head over to Facebook.
It's more like murderous face. That was. So that you're going
to
die.
Facebook or YouTube and have a good look at that one. To be honest, I can still see it every time I blink, so that's quite disturbing. But yeah, it is though, and it's a shame. Like I just. Another thing is complimenting people.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just kind of like,
brilliant,
it can be, if I was to say that somebody looks good, be they male or female, if I said to a woman, oh, you look really good, or I like that dress, or you look really pretty, that can be, some people would take deep offense with that. And I think it's a shame because we're living in a world at the moment where I'm not one of these people who said, oh, fucking hell, the world's gone to shit and it's horrible. The world's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. There are things that are going on in different places, big scale and small scale, that are shit, but it doesn't make the whole world shit. The whole world is still a great place. But it will continue to be a great place for longer if it was just okay to be nice to people.
Yep. 100%.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that's kind of an extension of what you're saying.
Well, it's kind of weird, isn't it? Because like you can compliment somebody in a different way, and they'll take it completely differently. So if you say to somebody and they're dressed up, so I saw where I was staying, there was obviously some kind of ball in the evening, and there was a couple that came out, and he was in a tux and she was in a very sort of like a very nice dress, and I just said to both, "Oh, you look amazing." So I think if you say to somebody you look amazing, it isn't like, oh, you look pretty, or I really like how you look. I don't know. It's just it seems to have a different connotation if you say something like that rather than and truly is. I've wanted to do it a few times when I've seen people out and about, and you see somebody who's made a real effort, and you just want to go up to them and say, by the way, you look absolutely, what you've done to yourself, or whatever you've done to yourself, you've made yourself look attractive or amazing or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on a tube and there's only you and a single female in the carriage, and you go, you look amazing.
Yeah.
That's not okay. Okay, so let's just clarify that for people. That not okay. But look, it's just, I really like your dress, or not every word that comes out of a man's mouth to a woman is with the aim of getting her into bed.
Yeah, and vice versa.
Some people are just nice.
Yes. I'm just nice.
Exactly. Nice to be nice. So, I think the message there, ladies and gentlemen, if a hobbit with a big beard smiles at you on public transport, don't be scared. He's just being nice.
Oh, he's half blinded. He's grimacing. He can't really see what's going on. So,
there you go.
What's been grinding your gears?
Yeah, well, look. Obviously, because we do this, I compile a list of things that piss me off.
Is it a really long list?
I keep it on my phone as well. So, when we get around to saying like this really pisses me off, we'll do that. I was on TikTok this week. And I saw somebody who I think is decent. I like his content, is Smithy.
Yeah.
And saw you commented on his thing.
Yeah.
He's moaning about people who, in his words, beg for cash on the internet. And do you know what? I don't get the hate that influencers get. Right? Call them influencers, call them whatever, social media people. Like, there are people on there who, like you and I, when we would on lives all the time, used to actively tell people not to gift us. Right?
Apart from when you got your hair out that night, which is a funny thing.
Yeah, exactly. When I pimped my hair for cash.
Yes.
But so it's not for us.
Yeah.
I will never go on the internet and say, oh, like, give us a gift, and like. But TikTok has built that vehicle that. They've built a competitive element so that people get gifts because TikTok take a massive chunk of that gift, and that's one of the things that raises the revenue for TikTok, so lots of other people can use it for free.
Yeah.
So I don't have an issue with it, and it's the same as all the other stuff. It's like, if you don't like that shit, scroll past it.
Yeah.
And the quicker you scroll past, the less likely you are for it to come up on your feed. If you interact with these people and comment "fucking beggars" or anything like the internet doesn't know, or the algorithm doesn't know that you're pissed off with them. They just know that you're interacting. So the more you interact, the more they're going to show up. And you're just going to think, TikTok is full of these people. I hardly ever see them when I'm on TikTok because I will scroll past so fast, like straight past, because I've no interest in seeing them.
Well, it's an odd thing. I don't go on there as much as I used to, same as you don't. And I have found, though, that even when you're scrolling on the FYP or whatever it's called now, or even your own sort of like friends bit, every third kind of scroll brings you to someone else's live. And I don't really have an issue with almost like the big people that do it. So, I've unfollowed loads of people that I don't want to see it doing it anymore, but it still throws those exact people to me because, you followed them once, but even though you don't follow them now, you still must have liked them once. So here they are again. So, and I watch it now. There's a creator on there called, I think is Angio or something like that. It's probably wrong, but he does this thing where he has like 9 people in a box because you get loads of people now.
Yeah.
And then they have a battle. So the lowest person who gets like gifts gets pissed off and they bring someone else in. And I was like, I don't want to watch this. This is something I don't want to watch. So I actually went, it gives you the thing, not interested.
Yeah.
Bugger off. Clearly TikTok goes, we don't believe you.
Are you sure you're not interested? Yes. So, surely you are.
I get it served up to me. And I think this is the irritating thing for me is that, like, I've clearly said, look, I don't want to see any of this. Like you said, I've not only ever scrolled past it, I've also gone, not interested. And it still goes, actually, look, you're on TikTok, you're having it anyway. Join in. It's going to be great fun. It's fucking weird.
See, the thing is, the way I see that is that when you scroll through, Facebook and you scroll through Instagram, you'll get a load of adverts.
Yeah,
that's just the same thing.
Yeah.
That's how TikTok make money out of these people. But if people are doing that, I wouldn't for a minute, and that's proof that the fact that when you and I used to do dual lives all the time on TikTok, never ever asked for people to send us money. But this might be a good time to say that if anybody wants to buy us a drink, then they can go to buymeacoffee.com/mildlypod.
Yeah, in fairness, we do this battle every week where like Mike tries to make himself understood to me.
And nobody buys us anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, they do. I mean, we have had some amazing people buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/mildlypod. That's not why I got onto this subject, by the way. Exactly, but I think it's quite ironic. I like it. But yeah, people have done, just not for a while. So me and Baz are getting thirsty. So go to buymeacoffee.com/mildlypod and buy us a drink. Thank you very much. But look, we never did it because TikTok took such a big cut of it. And we were like, I don't want you giving us a $5 when we get a quid or $1.50 or whatever like that. By the way, on buymeacoffee.com/mildlypod, if you donate $5, we get $5.
That's amazing.
It's not like that. It's a very, very good system, that, isn't it, Baz? Anyway, I think I've made my point on that. But yeah, look, I think people, you get all the time people saying, oh, they're begging, and they're just jealous that they haven't got the opportunity to do that because they either haven't got the following or they haven't got the personality to do it. But they're also, I just think that you get a lot of people that are like, oh, stop begging, go and get a proper job. It's like, we've been through this before when we talked about OnlyFans the other week. It's like, if somebody can make, because you've got a friend who makes an awful lot of money out of doing lives. And they could do that in the evening, and that frees up the whole day. And I don't know if they've got kids, but that means you can spend all your day with your kids. Your kids will have a really nice upbringing, really fulfilled, lots of parent time, and you make some money by asking for people to donate stuff on the internet.
No, she's got even further now. She doesn't do lives anymore. She manages people that do lives. So she's now making money off other people doing lives. So
she's the madam.
Yes, yeah. So she's got her own TikTok agency for live streamers.
That's brilliant. And do you know what? I don't have a problem with it. Again, it's not for me. I wouldn't ever sit on TikTok and go, let's get into a battle. Send me loads. Send me a legendary. Send me a do all this. No. Do you know what I saw today when I was on there? I saw there was a girl who was in yoga gear.
Yeah.
And she had little icons of each of the gifts you can give on TikTok, and a cartoon of a yoga position.
Okay.
So she would get into the yoga position and do you know what? That's just full of like teenage boys going, yeah, that one with your leg in the air, do that one. Do you know what I mean? And then
I can see a pussy fat.
Fair play. Do you know what I mean? That's clever.
I think my issue is, like, particularly with the way it currently is, there are some people on there who make a lot of effort to do lives and have clearly set themselves up to be entertaining. So there's a girl on there that who every single day like goes on and does like a proper full live singing concert or a turn. With a fellow about, and they do it every day, sometimes Sunday mornings, which I think, all right, look, at least there's something that you want to pay for.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest issue when you just get two people like, just let's do this impression for anybody visually, just this. Yeah. All right. Yeah. No, you can fuck off. But no, not having that. Yeah, all right, bruv. That's not entertaining.
I'm going to clip that and put it at the front as the highlight of this week.
That would be my life if I was doing that thing from now on. So. But so that kind of stuff I think is weird, and that people, someone somewhere with a bit of money said, "Oh yeah, look, I'll throw you a universe or a unicorn or whatever gifts the names they've got now."
Yeah.
A rose. Let's call it a rose because I know they still exist. So I just, I find that kind of thing where someone's just sat there. Because do you remember when people used to do sleep lives?
Yes.
And so anyway.
You got those ones, people who pretended to be asleep. And it says like, if you gift, it sends a noise and it'll wake me up, and they pretend to be pissed off because they get woken up and things like that. But again, it's not for me, but I have no issue with it at all.
Like I say, it's a job, isn't it?
And it kind of goes like, just people hate the fact that, quotes, influencers, they just don't like the fact that some people are making money out of social media.
Yeah.
And there's one which is quite it's been massive in the news and stuff, is that a social media influencer, a YouTuber, contacted a hotel in Dublin and said, "Can I stay at your hotel for 5 days, and I'll give you a load of exposure?" And they're a massive now. I'm not going to say who it is, mainly because I can't remember, but they're a big one, right? And they've got a massive, they've got a massive following on YouTube.
Yeah,
so a huge amount. And the owner of the hotel replied with, and I'll read it, like, dear social influencer, I know your name, but apparently it's not important to use names. So that was their snipe at the fact that they just like not used this person's personal name and an email to ask for a stay. Thank you for your email looking for free accommodation in return for exposure. It takes a lot of balls to send an email like that. But bearing in mind, this he posted his reply on the internet.
Yeah, cool.
For clout.
Yeah, okay.
The irony.
Yes.
So it takes a lot of balls to send an email like that, if not much self-respect and dignity. If I let you stay here in return for a feature in your video, who is going to pay the staff who look after you? Who is going to pay the housekeepers who clean your room? The waiters who serve your breakfast? The receptionist who checks you in? Who is going to pay the light and heat for your use during the stay? The laundering of your bed sheets? The water rates? Maybe I should tell my staff they will be featuring your video in lieu of receiving payment for work carried. No, you still have to pay your staff, you fucking idiot. And it's like, and this is what I don't get, is like, people just hate that guy. And like, what he doesn't see is he's gone, if I let you, what am I going to get out of it? What you're going to get out of it is probably
customers.
20 grand's worth of advertising for free.
Yeah, customers. That's what you have.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, if you were to pay If you were to say, right, can you regularly mention my hotel in a YouTube video that goes to God knows how many million people, how much would that cost?
Yeah.
It'd be a lot more than it would the cost price of putting her up for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
I just don't. It's just so short-sighted.
It is,
because people have got this influence, and it's like the barter system has been around longer than coins and money. Right? People always used to do that. So, right, I'll give you a pig if you give me sexual favors. No, that's not. That's a bad example.
Yeah,
I'll
use the last one you did.
I'll give you a pig if you help build my house or whatever. Do you know what I mean? That's how things always used to work.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing. But what you've got there is two people doing something that doesn't cost them much, but is worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
Which when you get trained to negotiate. I mean, I've been on a negotiation course. It's not like talking someone down off a roof, or like a hostage situation.
That's the one.
I'm talking about a business negotiation. What you want there is you want something that's high value to the person that you're talking to, but is low cost to you.
Yeah.
Right. So in my instance, it might be, I'll train you for a bit if you do this for me.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't cost me anything. Because I'm doing it anyway. Like, you can jump into one of my classes for nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you came in, I would have charged you, but I'm getting something out of it. And according to this guy who sent that email, apparently, because that girl's not coming, or because that girl's not coming, he's turning his heating off and his water off and everything off because he was only going to put it on for her.
Exactly.
Nonsense. And he's clearly done it for clout. And again, like I say, the irony of the fact that he has done that. He's put that up there for likes and shares and all that kind of stuff. He's no better than her. And I have no problem with, I've never done it myself, but I've no problem with somebody who's got a decent amount of social media presence going up to someone and saying, can I stay with you? And I'll give you a massive shout out and I'll stick you in the video and, I'll tag you and do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Don't have a problem with it at all. If he didn't want to do it, he could have said no.
Yeah. Or just ignored her.
And what he did was he sent an email back to her, dead fucking sarky and stuff. And he goes like, so even just the way he phrases stuff, said, we have 186,000 followers on our 2 Facebook pages and an estimated 80,000 on our Snapchat, 32,000. But Jesus Christ, I would never in a million years ask someone for anything for free. Okay. I also blog a bit, and in future I'd advise you to offer to pay your way like everyone else. And if the hotel in question believes your coverage will help them, maybe they'll give you a complimentary upgrade to a suite.
Yeah, that's a clout chaser, isn't it?
Just unbelievable. So he's posted that. What she probably thinks is a private response to her. He's posted it online, and all of a sudden it's gone way out of proportion. She's been getting like death threats and stuff.
What?
Oh, it's just gone. It's gone massive, and he has kind of jokingly said he's going to sue her for millions because all of this social media virality that is happening now, he's arguing is worth a load of money. He's not serious, but he's gone, oh, well, I'm going to sue you for 10 million quid because you got 10 million quid's worth of publicity out of this. See, it's the same thing, innit? All this kind of stuff. Just what a prick. I just don't get it. I don't get people's issue with that. If somebody comes up to you and said, look, I mean, people have done favors for each other all the time, forever.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand why this guy has taken it upon himself to just go, I'm going to shame this girl because she's had the audacity and the lack of self-respect and dignity to ask to stay at this guy's hotel.
The whole thing's weird because quite often it's the other way around when someone says, will you come and stay at our hotel or come to our restaurant or come to our premiere and then can you make a post about it and come for free?
That's what smart people do.
I thought actually when you started saying it was going to be a bit different, but I didn't realise that he was going to be such a dick about it.
Yeah.
Because, well, look, I've got a bit of experience in this because, as you know, I stay at quite a lot of Premier Inns, which is for the Americans. It's a British chain, I think. Anyway, it's Premier Inn.
Yeah.
And I've made a few videos there, posted them, tagged them in it, and they've then come back to me and said, "Oh, can we use those videos on our own socials?" And I'm like, "Yes, you can."
I was. So have they not paid you for those?
No. I just I made them because I was there, and they've just said, "Oh, can we use them?" They haven't then come back and said, "Oh, look, would you like to stay for free?" One time, but it is what it is. The buzz is enough for me. I've got to admit. So,
yeah. Well, do you know what? I think the bottom line of this is, I've just got such a pet hate for this whole thing of get a proper job.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Get a proper job. What? Just go and sit in an office for 8 hours a day of a job you fucking hate.
Yeah.
Put your kids in childcare. Go to this job that you absolutely hate. Sit in this job for 40 years and then retire on what's not enough.
Yep.
So, all right, then let's do that, shall we? Let's operate in a world that like it's 1950. It's nonsense. There are loads and loads of ways of making money these days. Yeah. And being a social media influencer is not in any way a bad way of doing it. If you can do it and you can make money out of the internet, absolutely fair play to you. And I know that seems like it's easy for us to say because we're making millions out of this podcast.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, we've made. No, oh shit! I forgot to tell you that bit, Baz.
Damn.
This podcast costs us money.
Yeah,
right? We make no money; it only costs us money. So, it's. I mean, we've done adverts for companies that have paid us, but I've done adverts for a company that has sent me a free thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I didn't say, "Hold on a minute. I'm going to give you all this, and all you're going to do is send me a free thing." And it's like, I don't get it. I don't understand why so many people have a beef with people making money off the internet. It's not like someone sat you down and forced you to watch it. If you don't like it, scroll past.
Well, here's the rub. At some point in this journey that we've both been on and many other people have been on, I considered doing this full time. Then I realised it's fucking hard.
Yes, it is really hard.
The reason that I didn't push on with it any further is because it's more work than I actually do. As obviously as we know, because I only work weekends and once a month occasionally. But it's hard work. You've got to do it every single day. You've got to be you've got to have loads of energy, and you've got to be doing stuff that's not always going to get to people. And then and as we both know, and lots of people know, not everything you do goes viral.
No.
Half the time it goes fucking nowhere. And when you do actually get a job and someone says, "Can you make something?" you go, "Yeah, brilliant. I've done this lovely video." Because it's an ad, I'm pretty sure it gets slightly squashed by the algorithm because they don't want you making money off their platform without you giving them some money, which makes it doubly hard. So yeah, I'd rather go and put fences up at the weekend. Right. I have a thing. So just in the last couple of weeks, I've been going through things like etiquette. I think we had a brief chat on it before about, the stuff that people have kind of, where stuff's changed. So I was looking at etiquette in general. And some of it is obviously, one of the things we spoke about was like removing your hat when you're indoors now. And it's only men, which is a weird thing. So in a place of worship, a man by etiquette is supposed to remove his hat, but a woman doesn't have to. So clearly, it hasn't got anything to do with cleanliness or anything like that. It's just
that sounds like sexism to me, Baz, and I don't like sexism.
Yeah, and so we're going against that. But there's a few more modern ones, which is like, it's that thing of like, get your elbows off the table because it's rude. I kind of think, all right, like it's hard to eat with your elbows on the table for a start. So it's just generally in between courses when you're leaning on the table, isn't it? It's not like it's fucking ruining the whole ambience of the dinner or anything like that, is it? It's fucking weird.
Who gets to decide what's rude and what's not?
Well, and this is the thing.
Who gets to make these rules?
Well, the Who is the thing, because this is where I've been leaning.
The Who? What,
yes.
Roger Daltrey?
Yes, he's a wanker.
I had no idea it was their responsibility.
So it is, who is it? Who wrote these things in the first place? And there's so many of these things, which I had a discussion with you before. And it's like, it's like there's modern stuff which is coming in, which is obviously we've discussed once before about phones at the dinner table.
Yeah.
So, like, I think if you're in a formal situation, sorry, like, well, you're with a load of people you don't know, it is a bit rude. But if you're with a whole load of people that you do, the phone now has become part of the conversation tool, hasn't it?
Yeah.
When someone goes, "Oh, what's the thing?" and like, most people now go, "Oh shit, I can't remember." And then the fun is who's going to crack first and Google it.
Yeah.
I saw a thing the other day where there are some restaurants now that have a thing where you can put your phone so it doesn't get splashed with your food because people have their phones at the table. So I think things are changing, but yeah, it's who wrote these rules and fuck them. That's what I want to know.
Do you know what that one you said about wearing a hat indoors?
Yeah.
I remember. Can't remember what video it was, but I had a video on. I think it was a clip of this.
Yeah.
Of the podcast. And somebody just went, like, look at this prick wearing a hat and a coat indoors trying to look cool. I was like, what? I mean, if you're going to try and have a dig at me, surely wearing a hat and a coat indoors is not the worst thing you've seen on the internet, is it, mate? Come on.
But it's weird, isn't it? It's kind of, but also people stick with these things. It's like, I've said about the rules of dress. Somebody wrote that, and then everybody else now goes, "Oh, but he's not doing it right. He's got like 2 of his buttons done up on his jacket, or he's got his fucking tie doesn't or matches something, or he's got the wrong colour belt." It's like, fuck off, like literally fuck off.
And it's like that post you made.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I want to wear blue and green together, it's like, I fucking will, all right?
But it's just because it's a bad rule, isn't it? Blue and green should never be seen. What's that?
No. And it's just like, hold on a minute. It's like, also, if I want to wear a hat in my own home, I'll wear a fucking hat in my own home.
I wear. This is the thing where it kind of upsets me. I wear a hat to a restaurant, like and really posh restaurants, and they don't give a shit.
No,
the posher it is, the less they worried about it.
Yeah,
I mean, there is a place called Rules in London, which is the oldest like restaurant supposedly, but they say when you book, we don't allow the wearing of hats in the restaurant, which is fine. They've actually said it. It's always been a rule in there. This is our rule. You can do what you want. It's your place.
Do you know what I reckon you should do, Baz? I reckon you should book a table there, go there, and when they tell you to take your hat off, fucking kick off about it, right?
Yeah.
And go to the Sun.
Yes.
And go, and they'll run a story. It's that elderly man forced to take his hat off in restaurants.
Yes. Even though they've told him already that we don't allow the wearing of hats in here.
Exactly.
It was just... But I think it also goes down to the way that things are changing. Like, holding door. We've discussed this before, holding doors for women.
Yeah.
Like, as we said at the time, we hold doors for everybody.
Yes.
But it's just, as you said earlier at the start of that thing, it's just nice to be nice sometimes. Yeah. It doesn't have to be some sort of ulterior motive. Anyway, Mike, do you have anything else that's really, 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 really pissing you off?
It's not really, really, really pissing me off, Baz, but another recent one, right, that came on the news, right? It does piss me off how TV news and news articles online will take numbers and twist them, like particularly with inflation, right? Because we have been they've been going on for ages saying like, oh, real-time wage cuts because inflation's massive and inflation's so high now, people's wages need to keep up. And they've gone, oh, well, people can't afford to eat because the inflation's gone up more than their wages, and inflation's so high. All this week, the news article is inflation has crashed down to 4.8%. I was like, all right, do you know what that actually means? It means that inflation is higher than it's been for the vast majority of the past 40 years, right? And not only that, it's 4.8 on top of the 10% from last year. So it's up about 15% over the past 2 years. But let's celebrate. Prices are only going up by 5% at the moment.
Yes.
How fucking stupid it. Well, I know they know it, but anyway, there'll be loads of people now down the pub going, yay, inflation's only 5%. Yay, I can spend money again now because I got a 7% pay rise last week. Yeah, you did, but it's just...
Isn't that a bit like when companies post their end of year profits and say, oh, like BP's profits are down this year. They've only made 170 million instead of 250 they usually do. Like, oh no, how are they going to fucking make ends meet? It's just ridiculous, isn't it?
I think the whole celebration of the fact that inflation's down. I keep saying 4.8%. I've just looked at my numbers here. It's 4.6.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, wow.
But hey, shit! It's even better than I thought, Baz.
No. You're going to be chancellor before you know.
But it's,
if you keep moving figures down like that.
Do you know what, people? Calm the fuck down. Right? Prices are still... Even so, with this all people like the whole... Even when we were going through all the inflation stuff, and everyone's going, oh my God, have you seen that like pasta's up 70%? Is it? So you can only feed your family for a week on a £1 bag of pasta now instead of a 60p bag of pasta. And I know the percentage of that isn't right. I'm just making the numbers up off the top of my head, all right?
But it is bizarre,
just in case anyone complains.
But it's one of those bizarre things, like just sort of moving out through the... Isn't it? They did a study, didn't they? And like loads of food's gone up. Yeah. But the most expensive stuff, like the really expensive microwave bills, hadn't gone up by very much. So it's like the really expensive stuff that, from Marks and Spencer's had only gone up by, a tiny percent, but like stuff that everybody uses, like pasta and potatoes, has gone up by 1 billion %. Yeah. Not a true figure, by the way. So.
But do you know what? And it's like, oh my God, this has gone up by that much. Well, don't buy it then.
Yeah.
Buy something that hasn't.
Yeah. I know it's quite harsh, but isn't inflation supposed to stop you buying stuff, isn't it?
That's why interest rates went up.
Exactly.
People are going, oh my God, interest rates will stop spending money, right? If you stop spending money, inflation comes down and they won't have to hike up the interest rates to stop you spending money because that is what's causing inflation.
And they want your money in the bank, don't they? They don't want it going to sort of like retail. So I don't know. It's far too complicated.
But Baz, that got beyond my comfort zone there. And I was like, I don't know. I'm shit with money anyway. Don't ask me.
I think we've used some good words in there that sounded like we did know. So let's style it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well done, Mike. You couldn't have said it any better.
Baz, I just realised we were whispering at each other and everybody heard all of it. I don't know what happened there. It was like a stage whisper in a pantomime, that. And we will not have pantomimes on this show in November, Baz.
Oh, yes, we will.
And on that bombshell, that's where we'll leave it for this week. Thanks for listening to us just grumble about shit. Sometimes we do that.
I actually do. I prefer the ones where we grumble. I'm not going to lie. I feel better than when I started it. Sorry.
Exactly. As long as it's cathartic for us two, it doesn't matter if it's entertaining at all for anybody who's had the misfortune to still be listening after all this time to this episode. So, anyway, Baz, thanks again for grumbling along with me and putting a smile on my face. Yeah, I'm not bothered if people enjoyed it. We did, so there you go. Anyway, thanks everyone for listening. We will see you next time. Goodbye.
Ta-da.